Live. Okay, Adam, we're live. Welcome to the Silver Linings podcast, people. I think we're fewer in number this evening, maybe because it's Memorial Day weekend, maybe because fewer people wanted to hear from us. We just don't know. I'm Grunkle Rex sitting here with Adam.
Good, then we'll make this a 30-minute podcast, in and out.
Well, we'll see. That could happen too.
Yeah.
But we have some just nice, good people. Starting off, first comment that's up here from early this afternoon. Brendan said, couldn't wait, love Uncle Rex and Adam's insight. That is just very kind because...
Wait, our Brandon or a different Brandon?
No, Brandon Kuhn.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, here I'll see Brandon Kuhn, Koon.
Yeah.
Put it up there. And Christiane from Brazil is waiting. So thanks for being here, Christiane. And a lot of other people, again, we won't address everyone. Deborah from Kansas, Lou Made Alive, Edith Ruth. I said we won't address everyone, then I try to anyway.
Knock them out. Angel, since there's only a few of
from
them.
Utah. Yep. Yeah. Hello, gentlemen from South Central Utah. Rig. Good morning from Denmark. Okay. Marjorie. Hello, everyone. Uncle Rex and Adam. Hello from North Dakota, from Julia. Here quite often. Thank you, Julia. Love you both. Adrienne, thanks. We love you back.
Yes.
Liz, our friend Liz, comments a lot. We appreciate. 3 a.m. in the UK, Adam.
Wow.
Nancy's hi from Kentucky, and Paula Z, hi guys. Marjorie from Canada. We're just very blessed to be with this community.
I'm trying to think. In London, it's 3 a.m. Do they have Monday off for Memorial Day?
Probably not. Since
it's so weird how every country has different days off for whatever holiday they have. Different things because all of the countries are different. But it seems like a lot of them have the same holidays that we do. A lot of different countries have the same holidays we do.
Well, the Christian holidays, other Christian countries would have them. So,
yeah. Well, Christmas and Easter, I get that. But Thanksgiving, is that only us?
Well, there are other countries like Canada that have their own Thanksgiving that's different from ours.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's a U.S. thing.
Yep.
Melissa, we agree. Lovely to catch alive. Alyssa from South Australia. Well, tonight we wanted to talk about, because the trial's upon us, it's starting. Good possibility for those of us that are emotionally involved. We know not everyone's emotionally involved. Some people are involved for entertainment. Well, entertainment is it's a stretch to call it that, but let's say they're involved out of curiosity. But a lot of us are emotionally involved. We're emotionally involved in Tylee and JJ's disappearance. And when they were found, that is such a tragedy. Those of us that are emotionally involved feel something from it. Maybe the closer we felt, the more personal interest we took on it. We've been calling it collateral damage. Collateral damage, those of us who feel like it hurt us. It was hurtful, but we weren't the intended victims. Okay, some of the intended victims died in this case. Others, like Brandon, lived and have to live with what's going on for the rest of their lives. That is horrific and tragic. Less tragic than that, but still tragic, are still all of the rest of us that lost something or felt hurt, or at the least felt extremely, extremely sad at everything that went on. That's the collateral damage, the unintended consequences. And we know that Lori or Alex or Chad or any of the other people did not consider us when they were doing what they did that caused all that damage. So we like to, just like tomorrow in the United States is Memorial Day, where we honor the people that died defending the freedoms for the United States. My uncle, Adam's great uncle, being one of those, died in the Korean War. And more directly, my dad died in the service. He didn't die in war. He was on active duty when he died, though. In Memorial Day, we honored those that gave their lives. Well, that war has a lot of collateral damage. A lot of people that are hurt and painful. We want to talk about what you do, because all of you in our community have been damaged at some time somewhere. And I shouldn't keep saying the word damage, because that means there's something wrong with us. And that's not what we're talking about at all. But we do need to address what's those terrible things that have happened in our lives. And we've been talking about it. This is having a live here gives us the chance to talk about what you do. And I'll start off, Adam, with the quote from our online community.
Mm-hmm.
And right away, Catherine Peza said, because I announced we'll be talking about how you deal with collateral damage, Catherine said, "I cry and pray, then heal." Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. Just to start with, that summed it all up right there, didn't it?
I mean, it could be, for some people, that could be just amazing way to heal. Cry, let it out, pray, all those things. Are you going to be doing double the push-ups tomorrow morning?
I doubt that I'll do double the push-ups, but I'll definitely do the 25 push-ups. I can crank out 25. 50 would be a sketch.
Is when you do push-ups every morning and you do it for a cause or a purpose in your brain during that time, is that a way to deal with collateral damage? Does that give you some kind of relief for the rest of the day?
It definitely does. I don't know what it does physically and all that.
Yeah,
but I mentally just feel I love honoring people's efforts, and the push-ups. I need to do it anyway, because I don't do anything else upper body.
But we got to get you to the gym and get you on the chest exercise machine.
Yeah, well, that's a different story. But anyway, I love honoring the 22 veterans that will take their own lives every day. That's what I think about for the first 22 push-ups. And then I love to honor the dead victims of family members, in this case, 2 family members' actions, Lori and Alex, of course, and honor Tylee and JJ and Charles. I think of the other victims, Tammy, and other victims that may be victims of theirs also. So I love.
And by the way, just thinking real quick about that, with Tammy's family, a different thing of collateral damage. Same kind of collateral damage, but I mean, Tammy's and Chad's family, all of them are just different. Everybody's got collateral damage that we're going to talk about today. But as you mentioned that, I just thought about, when this happened, it's not just Lori, it's not just Lori's family. It's not just us. There's a lot of collateral damage with a lot of people.
A whole lot. And thank you, Jermaine, for honoring JJ's, what would be his 13th birthday today. He'd be a teenager, Adam. What a fun teenager he would be.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sad.
A little guy with that much energy, that much love for life. It would have just been.
And how smart would he be? I mean, when he was a baby, he was like, they said he was a high functioning autistic, that he wouldn't be able to read or write or talk. And he just was way past all that. So at 13, I'm trying to figure out what kind of teenager he would be at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, because he was reading pretty well. Just what he done.
And talking and yep. That's sad.
So so sad. Let's get Janie's comment here on how to deal with collateral damage. She said, "I've had someone close to me hurt significantly by a vile criminal act. That person is still affected today. I find the only way to deal with it is to concentrate on the task at hand." Very good. And Adam, you talk a lot about that. It's not probably accurate to say distracting yourself, but you use pickleball to have a release. I think concentrating at that task at hand relieves us for a temporary amount of time of thinking about the tragedy. Is that what you get out of pickleball, and what else do you get along with it?
Oh yeah, I mean, anytime. Well, going to the gym, working out, getting on the treadmill or lifting weights, all that releases a lot of stuff out of you, like anxiety, tension, all that stuff. Pickleball is a way to distract, but it's also a way to help you feel good. And you got to find that thing in your life that really makes you happy or makes you feel good. And for everybody, it's going to be something different, and it could be the same as others. But that's the hard part. Sometimes people are like, "Well, I don't know what's going to make me happy," and finding that one thing. There's some people love to paint. Some people love to write. Some people love to climb trees. If you think about literally the list could be endless about what you could actually do to get some of the stress out or to deal with some of the collateral damage. Because there's times, and I've talked about this a bunch, where I'll just be laying in bed and not want to leave, not get out of bed, and that's collateral damage. How do I get out of that situation, that mindset, that depression, that whatever that is? And a lot of it is something physical for me. It could be mental for others. Meditation. There's a lot of things that could help.
Definitely. So thank you, Janie, for sharing that with you. Tori Meyer says, with collateral damage, it takes time. You work hard, lean on the Lord, and focus on yourself.
Love that.
There's a good sequence of ideas there.
Yeah.
So let's keep hearing from people just wanting to share, but we also have a trial coming up, and we said, Adam, would dedicate the first part of each podcast to the trial, and then I jumped right into the subject for today. But
what's going on with the trial? I know it starts June 2nd. Do we know anything else?
We do. There's been some hearings and some actions going on. Lori tried to get the trial thrown out again, and the judge said no. I think the judge said not only no, but no.
Heck no.
So the trial's going on. Stella Luna, 88, asks, how do you think Lori's cross-examination of Brandon will go? What do you think, Adam?
Probably the same way it went with mine. Do you remember the green enchiladas, Brandon, that I made every time we had a family get together? And then Brandon could go, yes, I remember them. What about them? Weren't they great? No, they weren't that great, Lori.
Out of the can, like Colby said.
Yeah, exactly. Get the chicken out. Who knows? I really don't know what's going to happen with, what did Lori learn from cross-examining the first round with me and other people, Kay? Did she learn anything from it? Does she care about what is her defense? It depends on what the prosecution's going to go down the road. How are they going to present this? Is it just going to be a video of Alex driving the Jeep? I really don't know how this is going to go down.
Yeah, let's make that. I'd like to make that observation. I've held back a little bit on this for a while, but Adam, chime in if you agree. Lori has never been known as a smart one in the family, the intellectual one in the family. Okay. And I'm overstating that for a reason. Would you agree with that, Adam? Or do you have knowing her in her teen years more, did you see her as exceptionally intelligent or?
No, I didn't. No. She seemed like she wanted to know a lot about things. She wanted to be one of those people that knew a lot about things, but I don't think she really did.
And here's why I say that, because it's on full display here when in the hearing, the judge is asking her, she turned in a witness list. It was late. The judge said, I should preclude all of these just because they're late. But tell me, Lori, how these people, and you said Zulema and Melanie Gibb were the subjects this time. It happened last round also. Tell me what testimony they can give that's relevant to this charge, to this case. She could not absorb that just like she couldn't before. She didn't have, I guess, the intellect to know what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
She's on trial for conspiracy. So a witness for her would have to be able to give some testimony that she did not conspire to kill them. And the judge is saying, I don't see how these people are material witnesses. And she's saying, well, just in case the prosecution says something, I want them there to rebut it. I thought, that's what cross-examination is for. Right. She could not do it.
Yeah.
She just doesn't get it. So the fact that, we've been focusing on, well, Lori's not a lawyer, so she doesn't know the processes and the legal way. Well, she's doing pretty well considering she's not a lawyer. Well, fine. If she is doing pretty well, I don't think so, but she's playing lawyer. That's fine. But she's not getting what the case is about.
Yeah.
She's just not grasping it.
I agree with that.
And so the best she could do is how she closed the questioning with you and the other people. Well, did you see me conspiring? Well, no, you wouldn't conspire with me.
Yeah, exactly.
And how could she bring a witness? Because there aren't any, because she did conspire.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in this case. I mean, I don't know what witnesses that she would even have
for that topic. Who knows why she wanted to bring Zulema on, or
does she want to bring in Melanie? Is she trying to bring in the other Melanie?
Pulowski?
Yeah.
No, I don't believe she was on that list.
Okay.
I think it's just Melanie Gibb. Those were the two, at least, that were part of this discussion that I saw. Like you, I don't watch a whole lot of.
And I'm wondering, is the prosecution going to ask Melanie Pulowski to be a witness? No. Okay.
Not Melanie Pulowski, Melanie Gibbs, Zulema. Yeah, and that's frustrating for a lot of us, but at the same time, we support the prosecution and their job, but they decide how their case is going to go and who they need to make that case. And
what this case, how are they presenting this? What are they going with? So none of us know anything about it. So it's going to be that's why I say when Brandon, the question was, what's Lori going to do when she cross-examines Brandon? It all depends on all the things that are coming out.
Well, it has to depend on that, because she can't cross-examine anything
that
was not brought up in the testimony.
Yeah, right.
So it's a pretty narrow road, and thank goodness the judge keeps her on that road, or that's what she'd go off, just like we all don't want to happen, because we don't want to hear her inane babbling about her weird beliefs.
Yep.
We heard more of that than we wanted to. So, okay, so we don't know how that'll go, Stella Luna, but we're all willing to speculate about it. Yeah. That's why one reason we like getting together. Let's see what Angela Pine has to say. I think my sister is in a religious cult. She uses all the words Lori did. Her beliefs are so way out there. And boy, that could be a religious cult. And a lot of people feel the mainstream beliefs of the church we attend, Adam, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, is a cult. A lot of people have said that. Yeah, yes. Anything that's weird to someone else probably seems like a cult, especially in the religious world.
Yeah,
I love
studying
religions.
I remember we were breaking down, I think maybe with Craig Shoemaker or somebody else. I can't remember. Yeah. We've talked about cults. We talked about cults a lot in the last 2 years of our podcast. And one of the things is, like, if you go to a football game and these football fans belong to a cult, because they're pre-game things that they do before the game starts.
Ritual,
the chants, they're all chanting the same thing. These are all things that happen with cults. You chant the same things, you do rituals the same way, whatever it is. It's very cultish to be a sports fan. So you can call any church a cult, you can call sports fans a cult. Cult is when people say cult, we talk about David Koresh and the religious cult and all that things, but it just seems like cult behavior. People are okay with cult behavior as long as it's not religious. If it's football, fine, but let us be a cult. If it's something else, fine, let us be a cult. But when it's religious, that's where the cult thing, they're like, oh, hey, this is odd.
Yeah. Well, it is, and different.
Yeah.
I love studying religions, world religions, and yeah, you can make the case that just about any of them are cults if you want to make that case, if you want to call them that. But
yeah,
but we don't.
But we do say that Chad and Lori's religion, whatever they came up with, and the people that follow them, it seems like Rex and I don't know, maybe a year ago, or maybe even longer, we started on this whole thing investigating and trying to find things out about what happened with the kids and things like that. And both of us are on board, I think, with there could have been a lot more things that we just don't know that could have been very cult related in this, and a lot of people involved in it too, not just 3 or 4 or 6 or 8 or 10.
Yeah, and I'd still like to find that out, and I wish they were looking for other people that were involved in investigating the people that obviously were involved, but that's not how they're spending their time and energy, and it's their time and energy. We don't have any control over that. So I think we'll be frustrated because we won't get all the answers, but we do want justice for Brandon, because good grief, he and his children and everyone around him, have to deal with it. So the more justice they can get, the better we feel for them.
The cult of pickleball. I just saw somebody did a thing. Pickleball cult. And believe me, this is weird because people get addicted to pickleball, and it is very cultish. I'm not even kidding. It's weird how people are like all in the cliquish is more, not cultish, cliquish, I should say.
Could be either one.
I don't think we chant things. I don't think there's a chant going on with pickleball. I don't know.
Adam, you didn't do it out loud, but I've watched you play pickleball. What are you saying under your breath as you get ready to serve? Come on.
Oh, I don't. I just grunt. I grunt. Those aren't chants. That's grunting. That's me trying to hit the ball as hard as I can.
Okay. So Donna Champion says, Lori learned nothing. I feel she believes she's smarter than everyone and will conduct herself exactly the same as she did in the trial for Charles. I agree with that. I don't see that she'll change anything.
Yeah, she's not changing. There's nothing she's going to change.
Yeah. So Donna, we're on Team Donna for that one. Let's see what Gina said. Writing children's book is my happy place.
Oh,
great, Gina. It's never too late. Happy heavenly birthday to sweet JJ. Happy Memorial Day, Rex and Adam. Thank you very much, Gina. And she does write and does it well. Unlike us, you and I, Adam, we do write, but I can't say that about the rest of what I said about Gina, about us. But
are you talking about our last book we wrote, or the separate books that we wrote?
Pretty much all of them, especially the last one where we were bailed out by, our good friend and editor and her team.
Yeah, Jane did a great job.
Jane was wonderful.
Yeah.
Brandon Kuhn is back saying, I think the Idaho storage building videos will be shown where they show Lori and Chad taking the wheel and seats from the Jeep into the storage buildings, and Alex and Lori going back to get them.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be there. Yeah.
That'll be a key part. And has anyone said, Adam, I don't remember if anyone has said why it was important for them to remove the tire and the back seat. Do you want to explain that?
I think Alex laid down in the Jeep with his gun, was a rifle, I guess, pointed out that way. He turned the Jeep around. I don't know exactly how the Jeep was parked or how he took a shot at Brandon. I thought Brandon told me that he thought it was out of the side of the window, but maybe not. I can't remember, but maybe having that tire off would help him roll the back window down, or I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how, but some way for him to shoot, or to be comfortable back there. I don't know. What do you remember?
I believe that particular Jeep, in order to get the back window up, you have to remove the spare tire.
Okay.
That is mounted on the frame in the back.
Okay.
And so that's why the tire would have to go there. And of course the seat, so you have enough room to maneuver back there and to, get the rifle out the back window. So,
yeah, I'll be interested to hearing what Brandon has to say when he testifies about that moment when Alex was shooting at him. Because I remember he called me immediately after that, frantic, driving away. So I just want to see what he says, because I can't remember all the things that he said because it was so long ago now. But we both were just like, what is happening right now? That's when so Charles got killed. Brandon they took a shot at Brandon. And then, even before that, as soon as Charles was killed, me and Zach, we were like scared to death that Alex was going to come after us for some reason. We didn't know why. We thought that they did it for money. We didn't know there was this whole cult, dark spirits, zombie thing going too. And I was like, well, if they shoot us, there's no money involved. Why would they kill us? But then with Brandon, I was like, oh, well, there's a insurance policy. And if Melanie's hanging out with Lori, who knows what's going on with. So there's things that were common sense that made sense. But for me and Zach to get killed, I was like, no one's going to get any money from us. Why would we even be on the, but then again, I was like, who knows what, maybe because we're not on their team, or we don't believe them, or they don't talk to us, so as soon as Brandon got shot at, I was like, oh my gosh, we could be next.
Yeah, I think very real fear, and apparently you were on the list. So
yeah, we had no idea until recently that we found out that we were on the list to get killed. But
Janelle Sarah said, God's blessings and healing to everyone involved in this horrendous situation. Thank you for that. I'm reminded that God says he is close to the brokenhearted, and I pray he is close to you guys. We pray that too. Mm-hmm. Janelle, I'm not going to be presumptuous and say is, but we sure feel that support of those prayers and from God. We're both believers in that. Let's see what Alyssa Morgan says. My beautiful mom passed away suddenly last week. Oh, Alyssa, no. That's fresh. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
And the family fallout has been huge. I'm finding the only way to cope is to be fully present with myself, feel everything, and release the pain. That has got to be rough, Alyssa.
So
sorry to hear that.
When a mother or a father die and the siblings get together, one of my friends had this happen. There was some arguing going on, but I don't know about a fallout. I would love to ask her, was the fallout due to the parent dying and then situations after that? Or was there falling out like before the parent died with the siblings?
Yeah, good question. And I've had experience with parents dying. Alex, both your grandparents on my side died. Do you remember when Noni died? You were so young. What were you, like 5 or?
Yeah, I think it was 4 or 5, maybe.
Yeah.
And I just remember a lady, and this is collateral damage. The lady came to knock on our door at our house. My mom answered the door, and the lady said something to my mom, and then my mom shut the door and told her to shut up and shut the door.
Wow.
And then the lady knocked again, and my mom opened the door and says, "What do you want?" And the lady told her again. And my mom just started screaming, like she lost it. Lost it. And at that moment, I knew something was wrong, and I didn't know until later. The lady told her that her mom died.
And she was giving her the news.
Yeah, a lady came and knocked on the door and told my mom that Noni died. And my mom
horrible.
Immediately, my mom shut it off and said, that's not my mother. Shut up, and just shut the door. She couldn't take that kind of news, I guess. Mm-hmm. So then she knocked again and said, Janice, I'm so sorry. And then my mom just fell to her knees. I remember this, and I was a little kid, screaming, crying, just like I've never seen somebody cry before. And I was like, wow. talk about damage. Like, yeah. Collateral damage just on that. But yeah, it's got anytime a parent dies, no matter if you're in good contact with or in good graces with your parents or not, if you're not, then there's got to be a little bit of felt of guilt, or I don't know. It's just the whole parent thing is like she was talking about. There was some falling out with her siblings. I'm not sure how that went or why it went like that.
Yeah, and Alyssa, of course, we aren't therapists and we aren't trying to provide therapy here, but there are two aspects we're talking about right here. There's the actual death, you lost your parent. And then there is so much, I don't know what it's called, I'll just call it energy, but so many emotions involved. And all of a sudden things become important that were never important. And objects have sentimental value, and maybe different siblings want, they have different expectations about how things will divide it up, who will get what. That can lead to a lot of horrible family situations, and has led to a lot of them.
Yes, that's what I was referring to.
Fortunately, in my family, no one's ever had a lot of
nobody has money. nobody has any money. When my parents pass away, nothing. Nobody. We probably have to pay for them. Who's ponying up for this funeral?
So we're fortunate in our family that everyone's poor, but those are very real events. We aren't making light of them. So it could be any of that, Adam. Yeah. The loss of the parents, one thing, and then all the stuff.
And I know there's there's people who haven't talked to their parents in years, and then their parents die. And I'm trying to find out or think about what is your feeling at that point? Good, I'm glad they're gone, or man, I didn't talk to my parents for 20 years and now I wish I would have. Is there regret? That's a tough one.
Yeah, a lot of potential damage there, as Adam's saying. Now I want to bring up at this point, use the term collateral damage. I know many of us saw the movie, and I believe the name of the movie was Collateral Beauty. But this community, that's our theme when we talk about collateral damage, because in the movie, for those that haven't seen it, there's no spoiler alerts here or nothing.
No one's seen this movie, Rex. Nobody's even heard of this movie.
A lot of people have. It has big stars in it. Will Smith was in it.
What's it called?
Collateral Beauty, I think, is the name of it.
I've never even heard of it.
And there's a death, it's based around a death and how different people deal with it. And during the death, a person there, I think 3 angels are involved in it, if I'm remembering correctly. But one of them is telling one of the people affected, don't miss, in this tragedy, don't miss the collateral beauty. And of course, you don't want to hear that in the middle of the tragedy. Because of the collateral damage, you don't want to hear that. And then the movie goes on as it evolves, that beauty comes out. But that's what this community is about. It's not about collateral damage. It's more about collateral beauty. And I think that's how the people that are in this community, I think that's going to be a common theme of how we deal with it. We will eventually, everyone at their own time, in their own way, are going to, each person is going to look for and find the collateral beauty, just like we've been talking about for 2 years, finding the silver linings of the deaths of Tylee and JJ, Charles and Tammy. And that's probably the most healing event or healing effort you can put into a tragedy like this. So let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. I put Alyssa's back up there. I don't know how I did that.
Because you're awesome.
Yeah. And Alyssa's awesome, actually.
Yes.
Back to the trial. Did Lori ever acknowledge she was wrong about something and show remorse for wrongdoings to others? Well, of course not from the time that she feels she became an exalted being.
Right.
But how about take us past that, Adam? Was it characteristic of Lori to always deny everything and not take blame for anything?
That's a great question. I'd have to really think about, because my brain has cut off a lot of things with Lori. So I'd have to really sit and think about.
Let me throw something in here, Adam, while you think about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember.
My view, living around the corner and being very involved in the family, hanging out there a whole lot. People think Lori was spoiled, never told no. That is not the case. Lori had parents that were not doting parents that gave her everything she wanted. I know some people think that. That is not the case, I assure you.
Yeah.
And so I never saw Adam. I've heard Adam express this before too, and I express it the same way. I never saw evil Lori or psycho Lori with her growing up. And as the case with this, I never saw these narcissistic tendencies with Lori growing up. I'm not a psychology. I wasn't residing in her heart and mind. I don't know what was in there, but I'll tell you, I never saw them. I never saw the evidence of them. Okay, so did she show remorse for wrongdoings to others? I can't think of an example offhand.
I'm sure she has. But like I told you, the one story that was when Summer and Lori were younger, and Lori was like reading scriptures and really becoming spiritual, and she told her and Summer used to fight sometimes. And Lori said, the next time we fight or if whatever happens, Summer, if you ever slap my face, I'll never hit you back. I'll just turn the other cheek like Jesus. And then Summer just wailed off and smashed her in the cheek. And then Lori just couldn't believe Summer did that. And then she turned her face and she had a tear coming down. Lori had a tear coming down her eye and then said, if you do it again, I'll do the same. And I think Summer hit her twice again, across the other face. Lori just started bawling, crying, and ran in the house. So, that's, whatever you want to make out of that did happen. I was out there when that happened. So I would say that's remorse or something. I don't know. I'm sure Summer feels bad about it or felt bad about it, but at the time, I don't think she did. I'm not sure exactly what that situation was.
And I'm going to point this, since you brought that up, I'm going to point this out since it's something very public. Summer did a beautiful, beautiful post this last week about Stacy. Did you see that, Adam?
I did not.
She wanted to set the record straight, and she posted it. I saw it on Facebook. So since it's public, I'll just say, if you're interested, refer to that and addresses some topics around Stacy, that Adam and Summer's oldest sister, who we all love, Melanie Pulaski, mother, Stacy. So it was beautiful. Thank you, Summer, for posting that. We don't say much about Summer because I don't want to say the wrong things. I love Summer, and I hold her in very, very high regard. The work she's done in the courtroom, having to testify, having to show up, just tremendous strength and resilience. Yes, when she is younger, we knew not to cross her. The story I tell is as a 2-year-old Summer in the pool. They're in the Cox's backyard. We're in the pool, and the 2-year-old Summer flipped me off. Good grief, Summer. Got some anger issues here.
Oh boy.
But
yeah.
But we love Summer. So, but anyway, they did not have. I never saw the subject we're talking about that Janine asked about. I didn't see anything abnormal that would say, well, Lori's got to turn into this. In fact, I didn't really see anything like that till around the Joe Ryan time. Okay, I'll just say that. So Adam's a little distracted here, so we'll move on.
Sorry. It's the end of it's the end of the NBA game, and I'm just 19 seconds left. It's a 2-point game. I was just looking over and seeing the score. Sorry. If we're going to be honest, I'm just being honest about it.
We need to give you a moment here, Adam.
It's timeout, so we can talk about the next one. We only got 19 seconds left.
So
it's like when I was married, and my ex would be like, "I need you to take the trash out." I'd be like, "Okay, well, this game's super important. There's only 1 minute left. As soon as it's done, I'll do it." No, it needed to be done 10 minutes ago, and you're still sitting there. I said, "I promise you, the game's almost over. I'll take it. It's not going to be a big deal." And then that turned into a big fight.
And of course, the last 10 minutes. So,
well, the last 19 seconds could be a couple minutes. Who knows?
Yeah. Back to the podcast. Cindy Stowell says, I've lost a son and a daughter to cystic fibrosis. I still cry missing them. Almost 16 years from my daughter and 7.5 years from my son. I just remember it's never goodbye. It's always see you later.
Yeah.
Beautiful thought along with that terrible, terrible tragedy, Cindy. Thanks for sharing that. And that is very heartfelt and terrible all at the same time.
I also feel like that's a way to deal with collateral damage. For me, at least in my life, with all the craziness that's happened to me, it sounds like she has hope that she's going to see her kids again in the next life. Same with me. Like, I have that faith or that hope in my mind, in my heart, that to get through this life, hopefully the next life, that the people that have been taken from me, that I'll get to see them and spend time with them and love them and all that. So that's one way to heal or try to heal or even deal with collateral damage that goes that deep.
And along with that, I'll say that faith we have, or that hope that we have that Adam talked about, is such a healing part of any of our experience. However you deal with grief and loss, and we all have to in our lives, even those of you that don't believe, they're non-believers, not religious, don't believe in God. You can be religious and still believe in God, or not religious and still believe in God. If you don't believe in God, you have hope about something that helps make it okay. I don't know what that hope is, but such a critically important part of the process. Tori Meyer said, I get frustrated when they call my faith a cult. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints isn't a cult. Lori, Ruby, and Jody, unfortunately, don't help with saying that we aren't a cult.
Right.
That's right. Well, Tori, coming from you, it sounds a lot better than when it comes from those three. So thanks for acknowledging that. We appreciate that. Of course, Adam and I from the same religion.
So, but when it comes to religion, if a serial killer is Catholic or is Protestant or is Baptist or whatever it is, do those churches get criticized as like our church does?
I don't.
Or not.
You're asking a general question. See, those of us who are members of the church feel like our church gets criticized more.
Yes.
Maybe every church feels that way. I'm sure the culture in the Baptist church, with which I'm a little bit familiar, is very much like the culture in our church. And I imagine there are a lot of Baptists that feel the same way about, the Baptist faith, that the news brings it up when it's, a member of their faith or their church that does it. And that's just something you have to live with. But it is a fact. Lori, Ruby, and Jody, all associated with the same church,
right?
All associated with the same book, which is not from that church.
Right. But, listen, why can't we blame the book?
And, my thought on it is anything that influenced those people during their lives is obviously a part of what made them who they are, and they went on to do terrible things. So I give some latitude there, because anything in my mind is fair game to say, well, this influenced them and they turned bad. Yeah, who knows what that influence played? And of course that influence was a part of them being bad. Yeah. Being sexually abused would be under the same subject. If they were sexually abused, yes, that would play into it, because that's a part of their life. That's an influence in their life. So, I give a little leeway on people that say, well, this leads to that. I think it's true. It's just there are a whole lot of thises that lead to this tragedy too. I wouldn't pin it all on
one thing,
the church. Yeah, on one thing, especially when there are other people that haven't turned out to be serial killers that may have that same thing in common. So,
right.
Hope Mag says, I don't think we will see the calm Lori and Brandon's trial. Lori's last book of motions, all being denied, is going to bring out the Lori that was meeting with Keith Morrison, the condescending, vile Lori. Very possible, Hope. Very possible.
Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what the judge allows and doesn't allow, though.
Yeah. And according to Lori, he denies everything, even though he didn't literally deny everything. That was her
bias against her, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah. And she'll use that. That's why we'll see appeals for the rest of her life. She'll go away for a while, but not, unfortunately, not permanently until it's all over.
Yeah.
Jermaine said, I screamed at the coroner on the phone when I learned my husband died. I thought I was getting pranked. And wouldn't that be a horrible, horrible prank? But Jermaine, I'm sure relating to your mom's situation at the door, when she is told that Janice's mom, my mom, had died.
Yeah, so I think the shock, I'm sure you go into shock, because I think my mom was in shock. And I think when you go into shock, you go into denial, and you just handle what you can handle. And like I said, everybody's different how they handle things and all that. But I know the death part, when somebody tells you somebody that you love has died, I'm sure it's just the worst thing ever.
Yeah, possibly. I'll maybe come back to that. Thank you, Jermaine, for sharing that. Giselle Maynard said, we have that Jeep, same Jeep, so this is insightful. The tire is mounted on a bracket that has to be opened to use the window. So you'd have to open the bracket or remove the tire, apparently.
Yeah.
Yep. So thank you, Giselle, for that insight. We appreciate that. True crime, real evidence insight there. We don't get that a lot on the show, because Adam and I don't provide it at all. Tori Myers, Adam and Rex, you need to hear the song Lori made by @Troublemaker Baker within True Crime. It's a good song. It will make you both laugh. I have heard that. It's hilarious. Have you heard that song, Adam?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, that's I'll do you a favor and not try to sing it for you. You'll just have to go find it and listen to it.
Yeah, I'll find it. I'm sure somebody will send it. Somebody will send it to me at some point.
They probably will. Thank you, Tori, for sharing that. It is pretty funny. Okay. Donna Champia again say, these people who use religion to play out their evil deeds are so dangerous. Congregations of all denominations need to be more vigilant and speak up if they feel someone is going rogue. I agree with that. I've been in that position and have spoken up before. Unfortunately, I wasn't around Lori and and their congregation during this time, but yeah, I've been around that. I've found that in our religion before with different groups.
But it's
The
hard to be
generation
like
before Lori's.
to call somebody out at church, go to the bishop and say, so and so said this, and then you're sitting in the bishop's office with 3 different people and you're accusing them of I mean, it could be, and then no one talks to you, and then people stop going to church. And it's like, I mean, if you want to get involved in a mess, yes, I agree, somebody's got to say something, but how do you do it? The thing is, how do you do it? What's the politically correct way to do it? How do you do it? How do you feel comfortable doing it? I mean, even with me trying to tell my family that Lori's crazy and, we need to do something to help her. They just shut me down. That's your family. Forget about the bishop at church.
Yeah. Tough situations, and
That's
there's
tough.
no answer because every situation's different.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I'm referring to of the generation before Lori. A lady in our church, same church, started doing some things along the same lines, kind of weird things. And I was in a leadership position at the time, and I took the opportunity to talk to her and say, hey, listen, I respect what you're doing. I know you're trying to heal people and it's doing good for people, and she listened to my concern, and to her credit, she actually took it on board, followed her own conscience, came back and said, you know what? I'm backing away from it. And she backed away from it, not because she believed what she was doing was wrong. And I'm not in judgment of whether it's right or wrong. And I wasn't at the time, but she saw how it could turn bad and other people might get the wrong idea. And I mean, I just really admired someone that would hear that from someone else and take action on it based on them. And so I guess I want to say this about that subject. When we're each considering, you know what I'm going to say about following your conscience, but I'll add a little bit around that. When we're each considering actions, when Adam and I started talking about collateral damage, part of it was in hopes that we would all consider our own actions and who it affects, especially if it's something that's potentially negative. Consider the people outside of our main focus and consider them and how it's going to affect them. Consider collateral damage that we might be causing. And because of that, we may make better choices. And I'll tell you the bottom line of that, to figure it out, having had this experience personally 2 days ago, the bottom line is act out of love and you won't do something wrong. If you're acting out of love for other people, you will make good decisions when you're making that consideration. So the plea is to make that consideration when you're choosing actions in your life that could potentially have collateral damage. Consider the collateral damage, follow your conscience, act out of love. You'll make good choices.
I like
Adam,
that. Good advice.
You can add to it.
No, nothing to add to that. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm on my own. The advice I always give is follow your conscience. That's it. But let the motivation be love, I guess, is the
yes. That's a great thing. Yeah.
But it's hard sometimes, as Adam was saying. And Crochet donated $10. Adam, thank you for that. We'll talk more about that, what we're going to use that money for.
Thanks.
Not for a massage for me, although I did get a massage this last week, and it was very beneficial because the person that massages me is part of my mastermind group, and it helped me a lot process stuff that's going on in our family still, and gave me some help processing that. And I always appreciate, that's how I deal with things, is a lot. I process them with my daughters, of course, with my wife, Lisa. Got to process some with him. That's why I go to a counselor to process with a counselor, or counselors, plural. Robin Dahl says, collateral beauty makes me think of, instead of dwelling on generational trauma, find a way to notice the generational resilience. Robin, beautiful concept. Boy, I think Adam, in our families, we could get something out of that. The
No doubt.
generational resilience. We've had people, think of Nanny and granddad, and I mean, we have a lot of generational resilience in our family. In other words, good example along these same lines. Thank you, Robin, for that great insight. Gina says collateral beauty equals silver lining. Same thing.
Yes.
That's our song.
I love it. Let's make our own song.
Yep, you can do that, Adam. That's your world.
All right. I'll make a song.
We'll count on you for that. Denise Kodakus. Denise, I don't recognize the name before. This is your first time, or the first time just that you're speaking to us. Welcome and thank you for contributing. And if that's not the case, please excuse my feeble memory. Do either of you know how, when Charles' place in Houston was cleared out after his murder, Case said only furniture was left and Charles' papers, etc., gone? I hadn't heard that, Denise. But my belief is when Lori went to Houston, she was pretending to reconcile so she could do what she was going to do with the paperwork, like change the beneficiary back to her, which is, I think, what she did during that time. Adam, do you have any other insight on that?
Also, I remember Charles called me one time, and he said that he wasn't even living in the house with Lori. He said he was living in an apartment, and Lori had the house with JJ in it, and he had bought or rented a real nice house there, and so I knew things weren't going well. But before that, Lori went missing because Charles was trying to give her divorce papers. So then Lori realized, oh, Charles is going to divorce me. I'm not going to be able to get this money, being a beneficiary. So after like a month of disappearing, and who knows where she went, Hawaii probably, she came back and told Charles, okay, let's get back together. So totally, that was, now that you see what will happen, that definitely was a plan to do that.
Yeah, my belief also. Sorry, we don't have more insight on that.
Yeah.
Hope Mags asks, was Joe Ryan financially secure? Money definitely has a tendency to change people, and not always for the better. I don't know, Hope, but what I believe and what I've heard from more than one source is that Joe Ryan was financially, by the end of his life, financially devastated, spending so much money in the divorce, legal fees and the divorce. And I believe that because one of the sources was his attorney. Yeah. And so he didn't have money at all. Lori got life insurance from Joseph Ryan, but I don't think there is any other money because I think he's staying on his attorney's couch.
Yeah.
For a while. Anyway.
Before he got his 1-bedroom apartment or whatever it was. Yeah.
Right. So Gypsy Mom, Adam, that is your faith. I believe the same. So some encouragement from Gypsy Mom.
Thank
Adam.
you, Gypsy Mom.
Sarah, the domestic goddess. Love the name. Appreciate the $10 donation to what we're doing. We'll put that to good use. I wish my 14-year-old Luke would have had the ability to consider collateral damage when he so impulsively and tragically took his life in October 23. He was so young, innocent. He 100% safe with Jesus. That gives me hope, I believe, or it gives me peace. That's a peace symbol.
Gosh, that's so hard. Oh man, that's hard.
That is hard. A 14-year-old, I just can't imagine that. Terrible. Sarah, thank you for sharing that and for sharing what brings you peace. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Teresa Warner is also donating $2. Thank you, Teresa. No matter the religion, free will plays a huge part. 100%, Teresa. It's all about free will in this life.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, no matter what your religious belief is or is not, free will is still going to get in there. We agree with you completely.
Going back to the woman who said her 14-year-old took his own life. And I've heard people talk about this, that they got to the verge of killing themselves. We've even interviewed some of our optimists on our podcast, and some, suicide has come through their mind, and someone heard a voice or said, don't do this, or whatever it is. And others that that have contemplated suicide would think about other loved ones and then not commit suicide because of I think I saw a documentary. I saw somebody said, I can't do that to my parents. I don't know what my parents would do if I killed myself. They were prepared to kill themselves. They were good about leaving, but they couldn't have the thought of their parents having to deal with it. So it's just those things, they really break my heart. When she said her 14-year-old took his own life, that just, oh my gosh, that devastates me.
That is devastating.
Yeah,
I agree. Okay, talk about devastation. Get ready for this one, Adam. From Alon Westerman.
Okay.
Hope I'm pronouncing that first name correctly. I lost my brother, husband, as well as my mom within 1 year.
Oh,
talk about devastating. Good.
Wow.
Heavens, that's tragic.
Yeah, so you talk about collateral damage. One is bad enough, and then two, and then you have three, and you're just like, oh my gosh, when is this going to end? But the saying is, when it rains, it pours. And that's happened to me in my life before. When it rains, it pours. And you're just like, when is this going to stop? You think you're at the bottom of the barrel, but there's more barrel left. And you're like, how is there more barrel left? This is all I can handle.
Well, Alon goes on here, Adam. Okay. Let me finish the rest, because she is an optimist, not just meaning a member of our community, but in the way she approaches this. She said, and I'm saying she because I think the thumbnail is a she. So even though the thumbnail's small and my glasses are straining, everyone grieves differently. I happened to journal and began Stephen ministry classes in effort to give back through my losses. So talk about collateral beauty or silver linings.
Yes, how to do it.
Beautiful, Alon. Thank you. Thank you.
You know what's funny, or not funny, but what's different is, during the holidays, sometimes during Christmas, people don't give presents, and they go to the shelter and they feed the homeless, and they donate, they give their time and donate.
Love that.
And it just helps them. It's for them. It helps their soul heal some of the hardness of, sometimes Christmas can be very difficult for a lot of people, or whatever it is. But what she just mentioned, when you serve others or do things for other people, it's great to serve other people, but really that does something to your own heart and your own soul.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. Don Starkman says, I want to add, Adam, I give you so much credit for overcoming the dramatics in your family. I know you love your family, you love your mother, your father, but you rock.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Well said, Don. That's true. Reflective Moment says, you carry within you the strength of those who came before you. Their faith, courage, and endurance live on in you. And we've had some great ones, Adam, in our family line. Thank you, Reflective Moments. Did I really get to the end of the start? And we're just over an hour.
Look at you. Perfect timing.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I did get through the end of the start ones. That's certainly not all the comments we have, and we appreciate all the comments, even the ones that are just saying hi. This is a very supportive, genuine, and loving community.
Yeah.
So we will follow our pattern of we'll do a recorded podcast the next week, and then the trial is upon us. We'll do a live the next week, and we'll see if we're going to continue with lives so we can keep up a little bit better with the trial. But I sure love what everyone shared this evening. I love this experience where we can hear your experiences, your way of dealing with things. Very healing for all of us, and that's what makes this community wonderful. Adam, you get closing remarks.
Closing remarks. I'm going to mention somebody. We heard some really hard things that have happened to people in our community and people that have had hard things happen in their lives. Losing children is probably on the top of the list for me. As far as I've never lost children, but it just breaks my heart when I hear a mom say that their kids have taken their own lives or they lost their husband.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody ends up. The guarantees in life, you're born and then you die. Those are two guarantees that are going to happen at some point. And I think the term hope, and some people use faith, and hope and faith go together sometimes a lot. Mm-hmm. That you have to have faith to have hope. You have to have hope to have faith. That hope is really a strong word that we need to hang on to more. That especially when you're going through these very difficult times in a lot of people's lives. Hope is the one thing that can get you through those hard times, get you out of bed, get you out of depression. And so I think hearing that from a couple other people, that I would reiterate saying as my closing remarks, let's all have hope or faith or whatever it is that you want to have hope or faith in, but think of the positive things. When you think of hope and faith, these are things that should be all positive things, with all the negative or harsh things that have happened to you. Not doing a Sunday school lesson here, just reiterating what I've heard tonight and things that have impressed me with that.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Sarah, the domestic goddess, for the closing message also, along with a donation. But Sarah saying, well, I'll read it. Never want to be a downer. Love that we can all share here. Everyone have an amazing night. Do something to make someone feel how important they are.
Yes, I love that.
Love it. Thank you.